Hello, hello. Hello, hello, and welcome, or should I say, ho, 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 Christmas cousins. I'm Cousin Chad here with a favorite returning guest of mine, a fellow University of Delaware Blue Hen, a fellow Christmas lover, someone who we've had on, we've got to know, we've become a friend. He's actually become a cousin. I want to introduce Cousin Chris from ChristmasEveryMinute.com. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks, Chad. I'm so honored not only to be on your show, but to be, of course, a cousin of the great Chad. It's
well, you
quite
took the blood oath, Chris, so that was good.
Yes. That was a rigorous months-long process, and I got through it.
You did, and now you're officially in the will. So, what are you going to do with your windfall?
Right. Well, I expect to get all of Seth's used eggnog cups. Let's see.
Yes. Valuable.
Whatever Christmas related items that you have.
That's right.
And of course, Seth, I'm sure has some sort of legal stipulations because his wealth is so massive that
it is.
He wouldn't pass that on, but that's understandable.
Right. Well, he did say to leave you one of his Cadbury egg wrappers, which I thought was great. So that was really sweet. Just for you, he specified to bequeath that to you. So
that's cool. Something that'll be framed.
But Chris, I know I see the look of disappointment on your face because it's only me here today, not the superstar himself, Cousin Seth. And I understand, I as well. But I have big news I'm going to drop for you. Nobody else even knows this right now. Cousin Seth, right now, we know him as a famous, one of the world's richest men. We know him as just this huge international superstar with fans everywhere. But also today, he is on a Christmas movie set for a Lifetime movie.
What?
Cousin Seth. Yes, Cousin Seth. That's right, audience. They're going crazy here, too. They can't believe it. Cousin Seth is now a movie star. Listen to that crowd. Yes. He is on, he's going to be a background actor or an extra on a new Mario Lopez, I believe, Lifetime Christmas movie that they're filming near him. So he's filming that today. He has his scenes. So
that's fantastic. Well, I lock that in for a movie review on Christmas Every Minute.
For sure.
That is it. That will be a must-see. And maybe even I can get Seth's insight into the filming. How cool!
Well, we do have some plan, and you can certainly have the exclusive if you'd like for your website. We are going to be covering it on the podcast as well, of course, because I can't wait. I am so excited to hear my prediction, Chris. So Seth decides he's going to go on there as an extra, but his aura, his charisma, they're going to pluck him out from amongst the crowd and put him, it's going to be a buddy movie with Mario Lopez, the two of them. He'll be like the new Zach Morris with AC Slater, I think. So
no, or even Mario, it's been nice, working with you, but this is Seth's show now.
That's what happened on our podcast. Yeah, it became the Seth show.
We'll catch you for the next movie, Mario. See you later.
That's it. Well, I did notice, which was interesting, Chris, and I'm not surprised, even as an extra, he had a clause in his contract to not look him in the eyes. So that's just how Seth rolls.
Right. Yeah.
His own trailer. So it's going to be interesting.
Right. His own keg of eggnog. Yeah, it'll be a whole thing.
Yes, of course. And no red M&Ms, but you know that, of course. I mean, that's how Seth rolls. So that's just to make sure that they are actually looking at his stipend there. So we'll see. I can't wait to hear. It's exciting. I know he was excited. He was sending me pictures from set. I don't know what he can reveal, what he can't. Of course, I'm going to try to get him to reveal it all when we do the follow-up. I don't know if they have him sign an NDA.
Right. It's very exciting. It's very well between his robust dating life and his obvious responsibilities as a wealthy mogul and everything else. What an incredible stretch of time for Seth. This is something.
I know. Do you think 2024 is almost officially the year of Seth? I mean, it's wild.
Yes, I think we can proclaim
he took down Cadbury stock tanked after he didn't like the eggs. Eggnog worldwide is not doing well. So this is wild. But I have something more important. It's not all about him. Even when he's not here, he makes it about him. Chris, we are here today for you. And I have to say, I love this segment because it's early April, almost mid-April. And we're here going to take a deep dive back into Christmas, and specifically your favorite Christmas or your favorite Christmas memories.
Right.
Excuse me. And the goal is to really feel it. I want it to be a vicarious situation for everybody listening, and even for yourself to bring yourself back as best as we can. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from people who really do like this. I know some of our shows they're more out there. Some are zany, some are nostalgic like this. And I like the range. And I'm really looking forward to this because I know you're a lifelong Christmas lover. I'm a fan of your website, ChristmasEveryMinute.com. I loved your new article on the history of the NFL and Christmas, which I thought was fabulous.
Thank you.
I didn't know. It was interesting that one of the games went so long that a Kansas legislator tried to ban Christmas games. And for 17 years, there were none on the holiday, Chris. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And now this year, they've announced that there'll be 3 games, and which is interesting about that is that Christmas is on a Wednesday. So typically the NFL will only broadcast games if Christmas lands on a Saturday, Sunday, or a Monday. But clearly they see the opportunity, and there we go. And I can't wait because the NFL is my favorite sport. So it just all together.
So is that something? So you will spend Christmas Day? Will you watch all 3 games? I mean, that's a major commitment.
Yeah, probably not. But
okay.
I will do a mixture of sort of taping and watching, but it's fun. It's always fun to have the game up on Thanksgiving. It's fun to have the game up on Christmas, and I'm really looking forward to it.
It's interesting that it's now encroaching because it's a Thanksgiving tradition, but I guess the NFL, they're going to make it. And I kind of felt for the teams because I think they're probably like, look, we don't want to play on Christmas. We want to have Christmas off, spend it with their families, a lot of traveling.
Right.
So.
Right. Plus, on a Wednesday, it's probably going to make a mess of the schedule, if they played the previous Sunday. But maybe they'll hit those two up on the bye. But we'll see. Right. We'll see how they handle that. Yeah. But,
we'll see. That's one of their favorite Christmas memories. And now let's talk about your favorite Christmas memories. What a segue.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. Now, everybody else we've interviewed for this series, Chris, hasn't had a specific Christmas year, but rather an amalgam of different years that they said, ages 8 to 12 or so were their favorites. That was their formative Christmases. So what about you? What year or years are we talking for your favorite Christmases ever?
Yeah, and I'm going to mix it up a little bit because I'm going to be the first guest that actually has a specific Christmas that I can look back on as my favorite. And I've listened to all of the guests that you've had, and parts and pieces of it really resonated with me. I know that Joe, the Christmas aficionado, talked about that period between sort of 8 and 12, and as being the key sort of childhood, producing the childhood memories for Christmas, versus how different it is as an adult. And I couldn't agree more. And I thought so. I definitely have a favorite Christmas, and I don't remember the exact year, but I can give you a range, and then I'll kind of set the scene for you because I know you were very interested in sort of getting the feel and of the era and what it was like in the lead up.
I want to really feel it. I want all the senses, as many as we can involved here.
Right. You're going to smell the balsam by the time we're done.
Oh, I love it. Good.
Talk about this. So early 1970s. I was 8 or 9 years old, and like Joe, because I know he mentioned this, we didn't get presents really during the year. So the big kahuna was Christmas, and my birthday lands on December 17th. So there was, of course, that. And I know your birthday's in December as well. So those are really sort of the 2 go-to days for me as a kid.
Right. So you had a week there, Chris. You had a week that was from your birthday to Christmas. That's like almost too much for a kid to handle.
Right, crazy. And I would, I had a lot of relatives who would give me money for my birthday, and so whatever I didn't get for Christmas, I might be able to sort of, sneak away and buy with the birthday money. But
that's right.
It's always made it a lot of fun. But Christmas really started for us back then in September, because if you get into your time machine and go back, that's when the TV Guide preview issue came out, and back then they had all of the Christmas specials were dated in the guide. So you'd circle them all, put them on your calendar, because back then there was no DVRs, there were no DVDs, no streaming, nothing.
If you missed it, you were done.
You were done. So if you missed Charlie Brown, you missed Rudolph, Santa Claus is coming to town, the Grinch, Frost, any of those, you were done. So that was like
kids, you don't understand the trials and tribulations from pre-DVR TV watching.
Yeah. Right. So, panic would set in. So you had to lock down that date, or you'd have to wait another year.
Wow.
And so that was the first thing. Then it really was sort of, the lead up to Halloween, and which is all great. We loved Halloween, but in the back of our minds, we're still thinking, "Oh, Christmas, Christmas, Christmas."
It's a speed bump,
right? And then, of course, during Thanksgiving was when really everything sort of broke loose. So in my house, the day after Thanksgiving was the day that you could officially start celebrating Christmas, and by that I mean you could take all the big boxes down from the attic that had all the lights, all the the decorations for all the the tables in the house, and everything. You could start playing your holiday music, get out the holiday books, and fire up the Nat King Cole, the Johnny Mathis. I know you mentioned Johnny Mathis on earlier, but yes, and I remember everything was vinyl. So back then.
And Chris, what part of the country? Where did you grow up again?
Oh, I grew up in Delaware. And,
right. Okay, in Delaware.
Right on the East Coast, of course. And but they had these RCA greatest Christmas hits on vinyl, and those were always in a special section. You pulled them out and you put them on. You started listening. So really getting into
that first crackle, Chris. So this is now we're right after Thanksgiving. You're pulling all the boxes out. They're dusty. We're getting some dust going. Maybe it's the early 70s. It could be asbestos flying. We didn't care. You didn't care back then.
Right.
And
right. That's
you're pulling these out, and of course, for the first time, you're pulling it back out. Just the feeling of pulling it out and seeing the album covers that you kind of forgot about almost for a while must have been exciting.
That's it. And, all the ornaments and checking through which ones were broken, which lights don't work on the lights, because you're not decorating the tree quite yet, but you're starting to put up the lights on the outside of the door and all that stuff.
Chris, where was this stored? It was in an attic upstairs? Is that what you said?
Yes. So I grew up in a neighborhood, and we had a 4-bedroom house. I had 2 brothers. Each of us had our own room. And we would decorate our own rooms. And cool. We kind of went, hog wild. And I had a lot of really bad pictures that I drew of Santa Claus that I would stick up on the wall. But, you get the red and the white, you're all set. You
get the idea. Yeah.
Right. So it was a pretty exciting time. And then the next sort of big thing was to get the Sears wish list catalog, because that's where you'd make your Christmas list. It would be derived from the catalog, which had just a massive toy section in the back. And
so Chris, a quick question about the records right before we get off. Have you found any of those? Do you have any of those today still, the originals, or did you go back out and buy those? I know my wife, they loved the Johnny Mathis ones growing up. So we went out and we got the actual album, and it's so cool to have, not the same one she had, obviously, but you bought it again.
Right.
And it's so cool to see.
I don't have the actual albums. However, I am and I know Joe said he didn't. He kind of listens to it, but he doesn't. But I'm all in on the Christmas music. So I've got close to 5,000 Christmas songs and growing in my collection.
Oh my gosh!
So I've got every song that I ever heard, but just in various different configurations. Like I have, the complete Johnny Mathis Christmas collection, the complete Elvis Presley Christmas collection, and so on and so on. That's definitely a big part. I put together playlists every year. I send CDs out to friends and family and I feature a holiday song spotlight on, ChristmasEveryMinute.com, which are sort of the lesser knowns that you may not have heard on the radio. But so that's a huge part of the holiday, was a huge part of the holiday. The music was playing, almost 24/7. I had a radio on my, my nightstand. And so I'd be playing, Christmas music from the radio stations there during that time as well. So
love it. Okay, so music is wafting throughout the house for the whole month from Thanksgiving. I love it. I can feel it already. This is great. You're starting to pull things out. So it's slowly but surely becoming Christmas. Not all at once, but slowly but surely. A kind of a slow burn. I like that.
absolutely. And then, of course, at school, you've got your Christmas plays, you've got your parties, you got everything's sort of building, and your that the specials of the talk of the kids at school, because again, that's that, like that Wednesday night or whatever it is, and everybody's sort of talking about it. So it's a different feeling, a different time back then. And so that's all sort of the scene setter for the Christmas that I remember.
Okay.
And so let's dig into this. So every Christmas, I always had my radio on, and it was difficult to go to sleep, but it was playing Christmas music. So I go to sleep that night, and I remember this very clearly. I popped open awake.
And how old, Chris? How old are you right now?
I was 8 or 9. I can't remember the exact year it was, but you'll understand when I get through with how I remember this particular one so clearly. And so I jumped out of bed, and as I always did, I sort of, almost like a cliche, I threw open my curtain to my bedroom. And again, we each had our own room, so it was my own thing. And it was probably like 5 o'clock in the morning, like super early. No one else is awake. And I see just like this incredible winter wonderland outside my window. So overnight, and I wasn't tracking weather back then. Right. It was like, a foot and a half of snow, and it was coming down hard. And that was the first Christmas where it had ever been a winter wonderland when I was growing up. And the only Christmas
that's rare in Delaware.
Never was. Yeah. So that was just incredibly exciting.
And you didn't expect it, so it's even better because it wasn't like if it was now, you would have known about it for a week and would have been playing. You just woke up, had no idea, no flurries the night before, woke up, boom, white Christmas.
It was magical. And the only way you track the weather is if you watch the news on TV. So
or looked out the window, the old-fashioned weather channel. You look out a window.
Right. At the time, so I gave a weather report that morning. No, I didn't do that.
Right. But you literally jumped out of bed, threw back a sash, looked out the window, and boom, it's a Christmas poem on outside in nature. Wow.
Right. And I had in front of my window, between my room and the street, were a series of huge pine trees. So all covered with snow, like, super festive. I mean, it was just, it was like breathtaking.
This is checking all the boxes, Chris. I don't even care if you're making this up. This is fabulous. This is
great.
I'm not.
I could almost taste the hot chocolate, at that point in the day.
Right. So now you have a decision, though, because it doesn't snow all that often in Delaware. So now you have to, I need to go downstairs, get the gifts, play in the snow, get the hot cocoa, go back. I mean, what a day. Wow. Okay. So you see the snow. Okay. Right. I'm sorry. Go on.
We had a set of rules in the house. Of course, no opening gifts. No, everyone had to be awake, and your breakfast had to be. But there was no rule against looking. So I got up and I snuck down the hall, and
alone. You didn't wake up your brothers.
Alone. No one else is awake. And this is
now. Are you the younger brother, middle brother?
I'm in the middle. Yeah,
middle. Okay,
we're all about 2 years apart. And so that's what also made it so magical, is because no one else was awake, and I crept through, and I sort of peeked around the corner, and there were like all the presents on display under the tree. And again, like Joe, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but Christmas was the big kahuna, so that was there was a lot more effort spent on that, and it was just like wow, and and then you got the stockings hanging on, they were bulging with toys on it, and I kind of crept over and plugged in the lights, for the tree, and everything was shining. And then next to the tree, it was a series of like floor to ceiling sliders, a window. So you could just see this. It was almost like a Hallmark movie.
Wow.
Right there. And
so now you're alone on Christmas morning, you're 8 or 9, you turn on the lights alone, quiet, this moment that you'll almost never have again. Your brothers could be awake, your parents could be awake, and there's snow on the ground. I can see, not only is this your favorite Christmas ever, I think this is my favorite Christmas ever. This is amazing so far.
Well, it was always the Christmas I was looking for after, but it never repeated itself.
Right.
And the snow's coming down hard too. It's not as if it just hit stop. So, and then, a short while later, everyone got up and was milling about, and we always had something for breakfast first, and then we sort of dove in to opening, all the presents.
So was there a special electricity when everyone woke up? Because they all looked out the window likewise and were like blown away that it was snowing.
Right, because one form or another, we knew we were going to be out in that snow. It was Christmas, and it was just spectacular. So after everyone was finished, like this is almost an unbelievable. You almost won't believe this, but just like if you recall the Christmas story where the old man's sitting back and he turns to Ralphie and says, "Hey, isn't there a gift behind that tree over there?" And of course, it's the red.
No.
So that's what happened to us. And
Okay.
it was, I think there's maybe one more gift downstairs. And what would you guess it would be?
Yes. Well, I would guess it was the Red Ryder BB gun.
It wasn't, but it was 3 brand new, shiny, flexible flyer sleds. Like
no way.
It was almost too good to be true. And the first ones we ever had. We
and
had
now your parents bought this knowing it might not be used until January. You could have one of those warm winters where it's hardly used at all.
Correct. Wow. And I have a previous Christmas where we had the old banana bicycles downstairs, which of course at that point you're not going to be using those till the spring. But this was just a sheer coincidence. And so after all the presents were open, those flexible flyers took a pounding outside that day. And
did you have a little hill behind your house? Not that it even matters at that point, any incline you're going on. So,
well, the ridiculous stuff that I did as a kid that I would be aghast now if my kids ever did. We would sled down the driveway, and then we had a hill that went down into the woods over a creek. So there was a permanent sort of bridge there for when it snowed. You'd hit the bridge, fly over the creek, and like I can't believe I'm not dead. It's just
right.
But that's what. And then there's a long hill that leads into our.
So you would either, if the water wasn't frozen, you're just falling in, splashing, and just
or crashing into a tree. I mean, and there's a long road that led into our neighborhood. Also, all the kids use that for sledding.
Okay.
We'd never had a flexible flyer. It was always, plastic wheels, the round ones and all that sort of. So this was a whole new game. It could steer. It had everything. So it was a pretty
cool,
spectacular gift at the time.
Now, is this something that you have? I would imagine, and I don't know if you have this or not, but an ornament of this flyer or a replica of one to pull out for your own Christmas decorations would be really cool and nostalgic for you. Oh, you do?
I do have a sled. It's just not quite, but it's pretty close. And over time, the sled just absolutely fell apart. It not only did it rust, but just all the mechanisms just complete, and it just crumbled. But I'll never forget the sight of that and all those things combined. And then what followed was our, and I know that you had had asked previously about different holiday scenes and settings. We would typically, as soon as we were done opening presents, all the adults would dash into the kitchen, which is right next door, and start the whole hoopla around the Christmas dinner. And
so you wouldn't, after opening the presents, you wouldn't have a big breakfast, or would you have a breakfast together?
We had it before. So
I see. You had to sit through breakfast before getting to the gifts.
Yes,
wow, discipline.
Which I made my kids do too, which they probably weren't too happy. But so then they would dash off, and then they'd be cooking all day. So turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and all that.
And who was there? Is it your brothers, your parents? Did grandparents come over? Who else is coming by?
It was a variety of people. So my parents were divorced, so my dad typically wouldn't be there. But my mother, my grandparents, my uncle and his wife, some great aunts, the three boys. It seemed like a pretty packed house, and we'd have people come in like visiting during the day,
throughout the day, just
other relatives, our other grandparents, exactly
all day long. I love it. Yeah.
Or gifts. so we always dash to the door, of course, because we knew we were getting more gifts.
So they would do their own Christmas morning, and then they would come over ostensibly for like a later afternoon and have dinner with you. So it would just fill in throughout the day.
Right. And then we would have long card tables all stretched out to the living room, all covered, and we have a kids table, and then we have the adults. It was a lot of fun. And then we top it all off with some good pumpkin pie and some mincemeat pies, which I know
Oh, did you really?
Your buddy from England had said that he had mince pies as well. So yeah, the oddest thing. So I was
I'm
thinking,
confused. So you had mince pies in Delaware, and Craig,
yes,
the Christmas guy, 365. I know he's listening and listens to all the episodes, and he loves his Christmas memory ones. Here's someone else we found who's having mince pies, but in America. This is
right.
fascinating. Why did you have this? Are you English background?
No, and I really don't have any idea. So and I'm the only one that I've ever known over here in the States that had mincemeat pies. And it's quite an odd thing. And so maybe following the Cadbury egg, a mince pie for Seth could be a great follow on.
Can we find them? He's got to be able to find them in Chicago, I'm sure.
Mince meat pie fillings here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and then you just make it in a regular pie crust.
Chris, why aren't we starting a mincemeat pie import business? Because I think it would take off, right?
I'm not sure. But
that's true.
We'll couple it with the eggnog and the Cadbury egg business that we're mulling around.
Right. We'll see how Seth likes it before we incorporate.
Right.
So
he's like, I'm out.
That's right.
But, yeah, and then we would have that, and then that we would sort of finish off the night, and we would typically have corners of the living room where we would have all of our bounty as kids, and we would keep it there until New Year's, when we were finally told to take it back to your room and put it away.
Right.
But that particular Christmas I'll never forget, because of the snow, the winter wonderland, and the coincidence of getting those flexible flyer sleds. It just is a memory that I'll never forget. And as I said earlier, I thought, okay, well, this is what every Christmas should be thereafter, and it never was again. Right. Because I don't think I ever got snow on Christmas any Christmas after that. But it was just it was so unlike your other guests. I do absolutely have a particular memory.
That is amazing.
That day. Yeah.
Especially that it was in Delaware. It wasn't like you were in Michigan where you'd expect snow or something.
Right.
So, well, now you're in the New England area. So I guess you have had white Christmases since. Obviously, it's not the same.
Yeah, we have. Although in recent years, it definitely has not snowed here as much as it has in the past. And I think, maybe climate change or I just don't know, but we've gone long stretches and another winter here where we hardly got any snow.
Right.
But yeah, we've had some snow. My daughter was born on December 19th. So we got hit with a blizzard like a day after she got home, which was on the 22nd. So we definitely had, snow on Christmas that day and other days. So
that's
for
funny.
sure.
My daughter was born on the 26th and we got hit with a blizzard on the day we brought her home as well. So
oh my gosh.
It was the day after Christmas, but it was that was in the Jersey Shore, and it was mobbed. They didn't even know what to do. They just said, put the snow in the ocean and deal with it Memorial Day. They didn't know where to put it
right.
off.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So okay. So I just want to know, all right, so the day winds down, you have dinner, you have your cake and dessert. So did this obviously influence, is there something that you take from this Christmas in particular that you do every year and that you made sure to do with your kids to this day that's lasting?
Yeah, I mean, my kids are grown and out of the house now. But for sure, there were, and I think it was Joe who said on your episode that he always had Christmas at his house or his parents' house or a particular place every year. And we did the same. We always had Christmas at our house. We never traveled. We may go visit somebody afterwards or before, but that was something that we always kept. And, the tradition of opening on Christmas morning versus, Christmas Eve. I know there are some folks who open up presents on Christmas Eve. We sort of switched up a little bit. We had our big Christmas meal on Christmas Eve. So we changed the holiday a little bit in that respect. Okay. But that was mostly because we didn't want to do all that work on Christmas Day. So we did it before, and then we had, leftovers on Christmas Day. But, all the same things, the traditions of the stockings, and we definitely carried over. I think we've talked about this before. In the decorating the tree, the one thing that my wife and I do differently, and this is partly because I never traveled when I was a kid. I didn't go anywhere. But now we travel quite extensively when we can. And we always
Mm-hmm.
from the travels where we go. I know we talked about
Yes, we do that as well.
right.
Yes.
That's a newer tradition, so we kind of knew. And I will add that my wife is Jewish, so all of this, like this journey that Seth is on, a journey that I'm sure you went on, it was new to her. But she's totally embraced it, and we do all the holidays. We do Hanukkah, and we go crazy. And I remember one year my daughter, who I mentioned, she was born on December 19th. She came to me with a calendar that she had made, and she filled out every single day. And she had all these X's, and there were 2 dates that didn't have X's. And she said, "Daddy, the 2 days I'm not getting presents." And she was very concerned about it. Yeah, because she would feel it. I said, "You're fine. You're fine.
Right. Oh my
You're only
gosh.
2 days out of the entire month of December. I think you'll be okay."
Right. Oh my gosh. You try between Hanukkah, Christmas, birthdays. Yeah.
Right.
It's the December fun followed by the January financial fallout. That's how it goes.
Yes. This is why I just declared bankruptcy last year. And
that's right. Every year in January, and then start again.
Right. And I've come crawling to Seth for a GoFundMe site.
He takes good care of his family. Don't worry about it, I'm sure. But he overdoes it. You need cash, and he sends you a yacht. What are you going to do with that? And you have the tax implications. It's Seth on another planet, Yeah, it's different. It's crazy. He doesn't understand. So
what can I do? I have no place to park it.
That's right, exactly. I have one, and especially the oil changes on that thing will cost you $1,000. But I do have one more question. Speaking of Cousin Seth, so this is an amazing Christmas, and I really felt it, and I appreciate you sharing this with me because I'm loving it. I felt like I was there. I wish I could go in a time machine and go back. I never thought I'd say I wanted to just go to Delaware if I could go anywhere, but this sounds amazing. So, what advice for someone like Cousin Seth, our festive freshman, to make his holiday more unforgettable? If you recall, his holiday this year was kind of bland. The lead up to it, the build up was great, but the holiday itself, not so great. He's in Chicago. He has a good chance at snow. Sorry, that's my dogs. I get so excited when I mention Seth. So what advice would you have for Seth or someone who wants to really elevate their holidays that you've taken from your favorite holidays in the past?
Yeah, I think, for me, it was always kicking it off. And I tend to kick off because of the ChristmasEveryMinute.com and everything else. I'm in it sort of all year round now. But for those who are not, I would say, kicking off a lot of your activities around Thanksgiving and the lead up to Christmas, and just do a lot of planning about activities. And I know through your podcast, you've done a lot of things like, he went to see It's a Wonderful Life for the first time, and, just continuing to just seek out things like that, and get, that's the excitement. It's the build up to the day, but also afterwards in the lead up to New Year's, just sort of continue to plan to go do some activities so that that day doesn't become just like, oh, it's over and it's done.
I like that. Right.
Beyond that. And I run into a lot of people who just absolutely hate New Year's. I love New Year's because I just feel like it's the finality a week after Christmas for the holidays, so you don't have to. It doesn't all end on Christmas Day. So that I've always loved that holiday, and then you can sort of point toward the next year, and then start all over again. But I think that'd be my biggest bit of advice is to plan to do things before and after.
Yes. Oh, I love that advice because that's exactly what happens. Just a lot of people, they look forward to Christmas all year, but then it gets close and they go, oh, I'm getting bummed because Christmas is going to be over. And that happened to Seth. He went from completely not really celebrating to going, oh no, what do I do when it's over? But if he's saying, well, on the 28th, I'm going to see lights. On the 29th, I'm watching a Hallmark movie. Then it's going, all right, it's Christmas and we're going after. Keep going so it doesn't end. And I agree. I do that. I find that helps. I still watch the Christmas movies into January and February. And then I kind of go, okay, I want some spring. I want some nice weather and that. So you say when it's over instead of the holidays saying when it's over. Maybe that's the trick there. That's great advice. Okay.
Exactly. And then don't wait too long to start celebrating in the run up to Christmas, because then it feels like, oh, it just went too fast. So I tend to, again, I'm focused on Christmas all year long with ChristmasEveryMinute.com, but I really start to crank up in October and and get it going. So it just feels like a significant period of time that you're celebrating, and it's not just, oh my gosh, it's over.
Right. So it extends the season. And now I feel like pumpkin spice and fall is almost a tailgate for Christmas season. So it really is like the build up. Yeah. So
absolutely. All the way back to when you're starting off in Halloween too. I mean, because it's that fall, all those activities, as you said, and for sure.
Okay. So fall is the tailgate, Christmas is the concert, if we think of it that way. And then there's the after party, and then you're good.
That's it.
And then you're tired. You want it to end, so you decide for it to end.
Right. Then you can chill a little bit. There's things that I do for the website that I'm even preparing for the next holiday season. Writing articles and researching while I'm still publishing on the site. It gets more intense as you get closer to the holidays, and my schedule for updating the site becomes much more intense. So that's fun too, preparing for that, at least personally for myself. But there's there's Christmas movies, there's Christmas books, there's all sorts of ways to extend, and a lot of these activities that you can go and visit, they don't end until New Year's. So holiday light displays at various places, and I'm sure Chicago is the same. Big city, big happenings that you could go see even after the holiday's over. But just planning all that in and slotting that in, it just continues. And so that's
I love it. Yeah, that's great. That helps it. So it's not such an abrupt stop, which is great. So,
right.
Well, Chris, this was what I had in mind when I first thought of, let's do favorite Christmas memories. You want to go back, and they've all been fabulous episodes, but yours had snow on the morning, which is just an amazing element. I love that crowd. What do you think? The crowd loves it.
It's almost too good to be true. It's almost not believable, but having been there, I can tell you that it did happen, and obviously that's why it's so memorable.
Imagine if you talk to your brothers and they go, Chris, you were the only one that saw it that morning. It was a psychotic visualization you had because you wanted it so badly, and there was no snow. It was Delaware.
Right, it was 75 that day. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was 55 and damp. It's Delaware in December. What do you think it was? So
that's right. We were skateboarding that day. Huh? What?
That's right. You had sun poisoning and imagined it all. So no, truthfully, this is amazing. And you nailed it. That's exactly what we're looking for. I hope for you kind of felt it and brought you back a little bit too. And maybe your brothers will want to listen to this episode and have them, get their memories and their feeling from it. And maybe they'll have things to add too. So we might need a follow-up here with the rest of the LaFontaine family. So,
well, I'll tell you as I started thinking about when you had asked the question, and I heard some of your other guests, it did bring me back, which was nice, and I'm always excited to be joining the cousins here on the pod, and been listening to all of your episodes, and it's been a lot of fun, super creative. I love what you guys are doing, and just keep up the good work.
Thank you. We appreciate it, and we're enjoying every minute too. So like Seth and I said, we were doing this without recording and just having this kind of fun. So it's fun to bring other people in too, and we were just talking about that the other day. So thank you so much, everybody. Check out christmaseveryminute.com. Also, check out catinthebox.com, his wife's company, which it makes the coolest little Christmas boxes and things, like gingerbread boxes for cats. I am getting one this year for sure. I love it. Maybe a dog one for my little Chihuahua baby. And thank you again, everybody. Let us know if what other Christmas memories you have at Christmas Cousins Pod, or email us christmascousinspod@gmail.com. And if you want Christmas year round, christmaseveryminute.com. I'm a big fan of Chris's website. Lots of cool stuff from how do I celebrate Christmas after Christmas, towns holding bonfires to get rid of their trees, the White House ornaments, NFL and Christmas, something for everyone, all Christmas oriented. You are doing a great service for people, Chris, and I do really enjoy it. I know you do as well. So thank you again, and I look forward to having you back on soon. Hopefully next time with Cousin Seth, so you're not so disappointed with just little old me here. So
no. It's been fantastic, Cousin Chad. It's always great to catch up with family. So
yes, exactly. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you again.